All right, good afternoon, and welcome to another installment of our Mystery Art Kit with the Caledonia Public Library and Minnesota Conservatory for the Arts. And today's project is going to be on postcards, and you should have a couple postcards in your kit. But also, we'll talk a little bit about where you can actually make your own postcards out of stuff you have on hand. There just has to be kind of a certain size and weight. So I'll give you some suggestions for that. And you can also, I don't know if you can buy the blank postcards at the dollar store. I know you can buy blank cards with envelopes, but you might be able to find these blank ones on Amazon if you'd like more. Otherwise, keep one kind of as an example and make your own. So anyway, all right. So today my theme is going to be, now that we're actually in November, my theme is going to be Thanksgiving or giving thanks or being thankful, any of those kind of things. And sometimes I like to think a little bit ahead of time. Now, since a lot of us still aren't, we're kind of social distancing and stuff this year and not able to spend as much time sometimes with the people that we wish we could, I think it's a great opportunity to send a card or send a postcard to someone that you might not get to see this year, whether it's just because of travel restrictions or whatever. So part of your assignment this week will be to kind of think of some people that you would like to say, not thank you for them doing something for you like we'd usually think of a thank you card, but just thanks that they're in your life, and maybe think of some special things that you're thankful for about that person and kind of they do, what you do with them, or how you know them, or what's special about that person for you. So to start out with, kind of like we've done with a couple other projects, I'm going to trace the shape and size of my postcard onto just a piece of scratch paper so I can play with some designs. And normally, I think the largest you can go for a postcard is 5 inches by 7 inches. So I think you can actually even get 5 by 7 inch index cards, which you could probably use them. And I might make a couple of these rectangles on my sketchbook. Then I could try a couple of ideas and decide what I like best before I put them on the actual card. Yep, I guess I can't quite fit 3 on my sketchbook, so we'll stick with 2. And it doesn't have to be a dark line or anything. It's just going to be just enough that you can see it and see what you're working within. So since I was trying to think of some of the things about Thanksgiving, and obviously the first Thanksgiving was kind of a celebration for a harvest celebration of gathering food in the wintertime or in the fall for the wintertime, I should say, for their gardens and just something to eat, and being thankful for the food they had. So a lot of times things that we gather from our gardens in the fall this time of year are things like squash and pumpkins, potatoes, some of those things that are kind of late harvest. So for some reason, the pumpkin has always been kind of one of the symbols of Thanksgiving. Pumpkin pie, I love pumpkin pie. And so I thought we'd start with kind of a pumpkin. And I was trying to think of a good way to get the shape of the pumpkin, because we're not going to do a really detailed pumpkin. We're kind of going to do a fancy idea of a pumpkin. And what I came up with was the bottom of a glue container. So your regular old school glue, if you want to use kind of an oval shape, there's a perfect oval shape. If you put it in the middle of your postcard shape and trace around your glue container, it'll really give you kind of a basic middle of the pumpkin shape. I'm doing this in pencil, and I guess I should find my eraser so I can erase my pencil lines when I'm done. But you can kind of choose whatever you have either from this class or other classes or just art supplies you have at home that you'd like to do the coloring and stuff in. So what I'm going to do is use that kind of as the middle of my pumpkin. And then I'm going to do a line that's kind of the same amount of arch on both sides. And I'm going to do another one of those. I don't want to go too much taller or too much lower, but kind of just a little bit, starting kind of close here at the top and nice curved line, and then coming back to the bottom. You can fix these a little bit as you play with it before you do the ink. And then of course a pumpkin has to have a stem. So we'll just kind of make a little curved line there. And my lines aren't all perfect here. That's why we're drawing with pencil, so we can fix them and erase them later. So go with that. Wish I could find my eraser. I think I will just use some markers and save some of the erasing till later. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to work on some background. I want this background to look kind of like wood, kind of like not a piece of plywood, but maybe a tongue and groove kind of wood. So I'm going to put some lines, kind of divide it into some sections that kind of look like boards. They're going to go up and down. And you could put as many of those as you want, or a partial one over here. Is that all showing up on my camera? Can you see it in the video when I'm using a pencil?
Me?
Yep. Can you see it? Okay. As long as you can see it, that's good. Okay. One thing I forgot, and I guess we could, now since I'm still working in pencil, now would be a good time to do this. Sometimes it's fun on a postcard or something to leave a little border around the outside. So one of the ways you could do that would be in each corner, kind of put a dot, a little circle in about the same space in from each corner, and then draw a line to connect each of those circles, and then just don't draw outside of the line. And your lines don't have to be straight, but if you wanted to use a ruler, you certainly could. That'll give you a little border around the outside, kind of like that. So now I have a pumpkin shape and kind of a background shape. So I think I am going to use a brown marker. I think this is just the dollar store version pen mark. And I'm going to work with some lines on my background. So I think I'm going to come down and kind of trace over that border line. Maybe I'll do all four of them. Get the border in first. Straighten that out just a little bit. While I'm at it, I'll do the bottom one. And then I'm going to do a pattern called the Diva Dance. And actually, I think I'm going to change where my lines are here a little bit. Do those first. Yeah, they weren't perfectly straight, but that's okay. Okay, so to do the Diva Dance, you're going to start with kind of a somewhat wavy line. Doesn't have to be super wavy. I'm going to go from the top of one of my sections down to the bottom. But every once in a while, at some point, I'm going to stop and go back a little bit and just put kind of a teardrop shape in it. And then I will continue with my wavy line. Now, there's no rule about how many of those little teardrops you can put in or when you can put them in. I like to just find an empty space kind of every once in a while and do it. So next I'm going to follow that line, kind of like the grain of a piece of wood, And maybe in another spot, I'm going to go back and put the teardrop shape in. But then I'm just going to follow the line, go around the last teardrop I did, and just keep following that line. Oh, maybe I want one more here. So you could do a couple of lines that don't have any bumps in them, or you could put a bump in every line. There's not really any rules with that. And what you'll find is every time you draw another line, your shape changes just a little bit because of those bumps. And I think right here, there's not really any bumps, so I'm going to put another one in. And you get this kind of crazy looking wavy line going. It's not really meant to look like wood, but a lot of people say that it does look like wood. So I thought that'd be a fun one to use in there. And I can kind of go backwards. I didn't start right on the edge of my page because I wasn't sure what shape I wanted it, where I wanted it. So I'm going to go back, kind of fill in some of that area that I didn't do before. And you can go either direction, go top to bottom or bottom to top. And when you get to where you're running out of paper, just do little bits of the line. All right, can you see how that would start to look like a wood? Kind of a piece of wood eventually. Now, if you want, you could just continue that all the way across the background, or you could do these lines that I have that are straight. I could make those a little bit thicker by doing two lines right next to each other and then coloring them in. So I think I'll do that right off on each of my background lines. Now remember, this is just kind of a practice sheet, so you don't have to do it all perfect. It's just one idea that I had today. And I might do this last one really thick. So I guess I really don't even have to color everything in right now. I can just kind of have that idea to remind me of how I want to do it on my finished one. Now I think I'm going to go to my colored pencils. You could also use markers if you'd like, but I'm going to show you a way to use a couple of different colors to kind of get some shading on your pumpkin. So let's do some reds and some oranges and some yellows, maybe even your white pencil. And what I think I'm going to do is start with my darkest one, and I'm going to go really lightly right along the lines. And sometimes after you do colored pencils, the lines you won't be able to erase the lines, but that's okay. Because this is kind of going to be the shadow part anyway, so we're probably going to end up making it pretty dark. So I'm going to do red for my, I don't know what those are called on the pumpkin. They're kind of grooves. Is a pumpkin groovy? Not really sure. And this doesn't have to be perfect, but we are trying to do kind of a nice smooth line and kind of light right now. If you want, you can go lighter and lighter still and make it a little bit wider. When you're drawing really light with a colored pencil, like you're barely touching the paper, I like to call it tickling the paper That'll help it fade away a little bit. And again, I suppose I don't have to do this all because this is just our idea sheet. But let me get this in. And you notice when I'm coloring with my colored pencil, I'm not holding really close to the end because I don't want to push really hard. I kind of want to leave it out a little bit further so I have a nice loose hold on my pencil. Okay, now let's go to a real orange and cover those, go over that same spot, but this time do your lighter coloring in a little bit further so we kind of have a nice orange section. And we're going to just keep building up layers. And since the pumpkins are we usually think of the pumpkins as orange, I'm going to color a pretty good section of it, that first orange. Then I might go in with, what do I have? I have a yellow orange, and I'm going to start in the same place, and now it's getting a little bit darker on those edges. So then when I gradually move in, I can use a little bit less pressure and a little bit less pressure, but it's the color is getting darker and covers the paper better out in those areas where I want it dark, kind of shadowed. So I'm thinking I probably should have done my pencil lines really super light. They're gonna not, so that's one of the things I would change when I go to my real postcard, is I probably would do almost no lines with my pencil or do them super light. Now I can go over the red, the dark part, maybe with a yellow pencil, and it's starting to get smoother. Like I can feel the paper has more colored pencil on it, and it's starting to fill in some of the holes. Okay, the other color I probably should have taken out to use in there, a couple of them. I might go with this really dark red and a brown. So I'm going to go backwards a little bit here and do the dark red right in the deepest part of that crease. The funny thing about this is when you look at a pumpkin, it looks orange, but depending on what light you're looking at it in, you might see different shadows and stuff, and there's actually kind of a lot of different colors in it. Because then I'll do a little bit of dark in the darkest crease with my brown, and actually you could also use blue in here because blue and orange are kind of opposites, and the blue would just make it look really dark. But you probably wouldn't even notice that it was blue after a while. Then I can always go back to kind of my medium orange and color over the whole thing a little bit more, and that'll bring the whole color back to orange, even though I've added all these other colors. And you can tell I'm still leaving it pretty light in the very middle because I kind of want that to look like a highlight, like the sun or the light is hitting it. But I could go really lightly with the orange in there too, so that it's kind of an orangish light. All right, now to blend it all together, you can take your white pencil, which doesn't usually actually draw white, but what it does is if you push pretty hard with your white pencil over the other layers of colored pencil, it kind of blends them all together and smooths out some of your lines. So all you see then is almost looks like you painted the surface instead of drawing on it. And actually, even after you've done some white, you can always go back in and add some more colors. But the white seems to help kind of blend it all together. And then at this point, I can go back in. Every time I go back and add more orange, it makes the whole thing just look orange. So that's kind of the color I want you to see. But all those colors underneath help make it look like a realistic shadow. So there's part of my how to draw a pumpkin tutorial. I'm going to do one more thing here just so you can see it on the video. I have a dark blue. Yep, it says blue on it. Sometimes I can't tell my blues and my purples apart. I'm going to go in right along those lines and make my pencil line a little bit wider with the blue. And that'll kind of look like the deepest part of the shadow. But it'll kind of also cover up that pencil line that I had first. Then once I get that in, now that's my shadow.
This is how far I am. Oh my God.
Oh, look at you, got your whole pumpkin already almost colored, and I'm still on one section. Then I might make it brown out a little bit further. And this will help it look like your pumpkin is kind of three-dimensional on your picture. So just keep adding layers and layers of colored pencil. You can actually go in with a drawing pencil, like an ebony pencil or something, and put some shadows in with that too if you want. Another cool colored pencil idea is called a blending pencil. You can get those at like Hobby Lobby or something. And it's the same thing as a colored pencil, but it doesn't have any color in it. So when you go over kind of in little circles, it's kind of like what I did with the white. But it's a really great thing to use with really any brand of colored pencils. And it blends your colors together and gets them really intense. So that is kind of the trick to colored pencils and getting them look smooth, but also bright. There. Okay, so that's my idea for my pumpkin and my background. I think my stem on my pumpkin is going to be kind of a green and kind of brown because, you know, sometimes your plants are still alive when you pick your pumpkins. Have a little bit of green in them. So I'm going to start with a green, really light layer of green. I might make some lines in it with brown where it's kind of starting to dry out. And then I might go back in with another color green, darker around the edges, kind of light in the middle. One of the things about greens is you can brighten it up a little bit by adding a layer of yellow, maybe in just one spot. And go back in and add some more of your greens until you got the color you want. I think I forgot one green pencil in there. That's the one I want. It's the really green one. It's actually almost a little bit of a greenish blue, but it's darker. All right. That's some of my ideas for the pencil, or for the, I'm sorry, for the pumpkin and the background. Now what I'd like to do, because I said we were going to make Be Thankful cards, is I have a little piece of a paper grocery bag. And I think I'm going to take my white gel pen. I don't know if you guys have white gel pens. I think we've had different colors in the past. I'm going to try that to start out with. And I'm just going to write the words give thanks. I'm going to do the words first so that I can see how big the word is. I'm just kind of make it into a black letter by coloring over it, making it wider. You could do this on really any kind of paper. I just happen to like the brown paper bag and the white writing on it. So use that for a lot of stuff. So I'm making my up and down lines thicker and making my side to side lines a little thinner. You could either do them both on one line, or you could do them one word on top, one word on the bottom. Let's see. How did I make the word thanks a little bit different than the word give? Putting little feet kind of on the bottom of my letters. It always helps to double check your spelling. Make sure you don't write the wrong letter in the wrong order. That's always kind of frustrating. Okay, so that's a good place to start. Then I think I'm going to just draw a little bit of a border around it. I'm going to make it kind of rectangular. About like that. And then I think I'm going to decorate that line a little bit, maybe with some scallops.
On my pumpkin, I added like some pink,
Oh, that's a good idea.
like in the middle.
Ooh, I might have to try that. I don't think I have a very good pink. I guess I kind of have a reddish pink one. Ooh, that would really make the, on mine I've got a darker pinkish red, so I'm doing it more along the outside. That adds a really nice kind of color, so it's not all that really, really super orange.
I have something to show you. So, out our window is our geese.
Ah, I have ducks outside my window, but I can't turn my camera to get to see them.
We have lots of ducks and geese, and we also have chickens.
And they just go all over the yard, right?
Yeah. We need to get rid of them because our neighbor, they like to fly over to our house, and they got poop all over his tractor. So.
Yes, geese are kind of messy, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so my idea with the give thanks on the separate piece of paper is that I'm going to cut it out. And then I'm just going to glue it to the front of my postcard. I can't glue it yet because, well, I'm not working on my postcard. I'm working on I guess I could glue it to my sketchbook, couldn't I? That's why I keep my glue stick handy. So if you're going to put anything else, glue something onto a postcard, you better make sure that it's going to really stick. You don't want it to come off in the mail before it gets to where you want it to go. There. Whoops, pull that down into the camera. Does that look like a Thanksgiving card?
Yeah.
I think so. Now, one of the other things I was going to do on my background, the stuff that looks like wood, is after I got some of the the lines in, I might go back with a couple of colors of brown and just lightly color the whole background in. So the lines from your, if you do it with a marker, they'll be darker. And your colored pencil can just give the, or marker, like a different color of the bigger magic markers. Yeah, that might just kind of cover it all up. Colored pencil would work really well there. I think you might be able to use watercolor pencils in there. And just like the pumpkin, wood isn't always all one color, so you could put some light oranges in and maybe some gray, different things just to kind of give it some different color. One other fun thing you might want to do, let's see, what do I have for gel pens? I was thinking about not actually making this look like a real live pumpkin as much as some kind of a decorative pumpkin. So what about if we got the color in there and then we did some doodle art almost over the top of the pumpkin? I think some of your gel pens will write over the top of the colored pencil. So let's see. Now I probably would like that to have more color on all of it, more colored pencil to fill in all those little holes in the paper. So I just kind of keep going back and forth with a few layers of colored pencil. Eventually your colored pencil will kind of fill the whole paper. And of course you can use your white pencil again to kind of blend some of it. Or a blending pencil if you get one of those. The other thing is I probably should make it kind of like a shadow down on the bottom edge. Get some really dark shadows right along the bottom. And probably around the edges, get it darker, especially that outside one. So then your next part of your assignment is to start thinking of some people that you'd like to just send a postcard to and tell them what you're thankful for about them as your friend. And you could maybe even make up some other designs or a different design for each person. Maybe kind of think about what they mean to you and if there's some special stuff that you think of when you think of them.
This morning and a little bit of yesterday, I worked on this.
Oh, look at all those animals. Looks like a panda.
Yeah.
I haven't drawn a panda in a long time.
I used watercolors.
So you did it with a paintbrush?
Yep.
Not watercolor pencils.
No, I don't have any of those.
I have just a couple of them, but they're not very good. Someday we'll try more of those.
Yeah, and our old art teacher a little while ago, we used them for an art project.
So you have used watercolor pencils?
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't even really used many of them. It's another thing I need to try.
Yeah.
There's so many art things out there to try, isn't there?
Yep.
Keep us busy.
You could invent an art tool.
Yeah, that's what I need, is something to make a lot of money doing. Okay, now I kind of got my more of my pumpkin done. Now let's see if my gold gel pen writes over it. I kind of want to make some curly Q, like vines almost. Maybe some leaves on it. And yeah, I guess I could even do this with a black gel pen over the top, or a dark brown. Something that it's not covering all of my designs. It's just kind of adding another dimension to it. So add some little lines in there. Maybe some circles and some dots. Maybe I take one that looks like it goes behind my give thanks thing and comes back out and does a spiral there. Some of the spirals can have like a dot on the end of them or a big teardrop shape. It's always kind of fun. You could color some of those shapes in with your gel pen if you wanted. You could leave some just lines. So looks like if you keep kind of scratching lightly over it, the gel pen will cover over the top of the colored pencil. Sometimes you might be able to see through it a little bit, but that's kind of cool. All right. So I actually like this idea a lot. And I'm probably not even going to finish it in my sketch pad because I want to go and actually do it on a real postcard. So, but before we go on to anything else, I just want to write kind of a list of some things. If you want to use some words, you can do the give thanks. Those are two good words. Or you could do be thankful. Or you could just write kind of large. Thankful. Kind of break it up, make it look like two different words. Or do it in one long word. It doesn't have to be straight. It could be curved. All kinds of stuff. Any other words you could think of that you could put on the front of your postcard? Talks about Thanksgiving.
Let the leaves fall. I don't know.
Yeah. Let it snow. No, that's going to be our next class, is the Let It Snow class. But leaves are something else that would have been fun to put a little bit in. My pen doesn't write too well over the colors. But anyway, you could always do the cutout thing anywhere on the page, or you could draw your letters right on the page first and then add a design around it. Kind of whatever you like there. So let's see, how are we doing? Just about out of time. The other thing that I thought I was going to do, or don't really have time, would just be to take like go gather some leaves outside, or look at a picture of some leaves and just do a branch. Maybe two branches with some leaves on it, and then put your give thanks or whatever. Then your leaves could be all different colors of fall colors: green, yellow, red, orange. What else?
You could take the leaf outside and like put it on the postcard.
Yeah, and my other thought was, if you could find small leaves, you could actually trace around them on your postcard. Or what would be really fun is if you had different colors of spray paint if you put the leaf down on the paper and then spritzed a little bit of spray paint over the top of it, then you take the leaf out and you just have the white space behind where the leaf was, and you'd have a little color. And you could layer different, just take the same leaf and move it around and change different colors with your spray paint or something. That would be fun. I don't think that would be a problem to do spray paint and mail it. I think you could do the same thing with your watercolor paints. If you took your, like any of your colors of watercolor paint, and you put your leaf shape down, and actually, you know what you could do is you could just cut a leaf shape out of your grocery bags, put that down, get a paintbrush really full of lots of paint, and then take it and hold it above. So if my finger was this was the paintbrush, I could take this finger, and if you tap the paintbrush on your finger, it'll splatter onto the card, and it would do splatters all around you. Then you can take off your leaf that you cut out, your leaf shape that you cut out of the paper. So speckles and stuff like that. That would be kind of fun. And I think you could do it with watercolor paints. You could probably also do it with acrylic paints, but you might have to add a little bit of water to them so they kind of splatter.
I have acrylic paints.
So that's just a whole bunch of ideas for you that kind of go with Thanksgiving or being thankful and making a postcard. So once again, your assignment for the week is to find one or two people that you would like to send a little postcard to, and just let them know that you're thinking about them, and that you're thankful for them this month of November. The other thing I was going to mention was that a lot of times, this is a box that some Brussels sprouts came in. A lot of times you can find really lightweight cardboard that is like the boxes that stuff comes in, and you could actually cut another. I think this is really similar to the cardboard that I have for the postcard. You could cut a postcard out of this, and then you could glue other stuff to the front of this to cover up the design on it. And you could just do a line down the middle, and you don't even have to do the place stamp here thing. You can just put a stamp on it. You just put somebody's address on. Usually they have the address and the stamp on the right side of the postcard. And I think you can check with your post office, but I believe that the dimensions are 5 inches by 7 inches. Or actually, I have a ruler right here. Maybe it's 4 by 6. Ooh, I bet it's 4 by 6. Yeah, double check that. But I think I said that wrong at the beginning of the class. I said 5 by 7, and I think a postcard is a 4 by 6 size. So you could also, like we said before, you could also use index cards that are 4 by 6 cards. Sometimes you can get them with lines on them, and sometimes you can get them just blank. So you could decorate them and make them into a postcard. And you could also take other stuff like paper that you have at home. This was some origami paper that I cut some shapes out of, and I just have scraps. So you could cut some shapes out of these, maybe make some leaf shapes and some things, and glue them to your postcard. Just make sure that they're really well glued, because you don't want them to fall off before they get to the person that you're going to mail it to. Unless, of course, you're just going to take it and drop it off at their door or something. It doesn't go through the mail, then it wouldn't be quite it wouldn't get so much traffic that way. So a couple of ideas for you. So if you do make some postcards, anybody watching this after the fact, and you would be willing to take some pictures of your cards and send those pictures to Miss Stephanie at the Caledonia Public Library. She would love to share those ideas with other people and post them probably on her Facebook page or the Caledonia Library Facebook page. And then you can see what everybody else is doing. And maybe you could find someone else that is doing the same project that you've met from this class or from school, and you could exchange postcards. with them. So anyway, have fun with postcard week, and we will see you next week. Oh, and for next week, I think we're going to finally get to the all the yarn art project. So have that ready, and you might even want some extra cardboard pieces like this. We'll probably just do some paper. I'll see what else is left in your kit by then. I think I'm also going to use maybe some of the wiggly eyes and the gems that were in the kit when we started. So keep all that stuff near, and we'll see you next week.